Good morning, Nicholas. How are you?
Hello, good evening. It's 9:30 p.m. here.
Past your bedtime, Nicholas.
Uh, a bit interrupted by a conversation. Is it morning where you're? I suppose it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's only 6:30 here. And Nicholas, I've got a confession to make.
Tell me.
I don't know why you're on the show.
You invited me.
Somebody told me, I haven't read them myself, but somebody said that you've been having a go at me online. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, well, can you tell me? Funny thing is, I haven't read, and I don't even really know what the flavour is. Oh, except for maybe something about my pronunciation of words.
Yes. I'm a bit perplexed because I'm ESL, well actually more like EFL because um English is a fourth language that I learned. But I spotted you pronouncing equal, and I've never heard this, and I had to double check a few times, and I can't see any accepted pronunciation of that word as you say it.
And that outraged you.
I mean, I'm just very perplexed, not enraged. I'm not gonna, lose sleep over that.
But what perplexes you about that? I mean, you've just told me that you teach ESL, so you language as a second language, essentially.
Mm.
I would have thought that you, above anyone else, would be extremely tolerant of mispronunciations.
Not from natives, no.
And what is a native?
Someone whose first language is in this case English.
Okay, well, I'm a native in that case. All right. Well, so tell me how to pronounce it. Let me get it right. I've been going. I'll put it in a sentence. Kylie is equally matched to Madonna. What about that? Was that wrong or right? You tell me. You're the teacher.
The pronunciation or the statement?
The pronunciation.
Equally, yeah, that's a correct one.
Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Oh, well, how was I saying it before?
equally
Equally. Was that how I was saying it?
or equal. It was something to that effect. I mean,
Was it?
it
Did
was
you
a
hear?
few months ago, so
Did you hear me say it once, or have you heard me say it repeatedly?
a couple of times to the
Really?
point where I thought it could not just be a coincidence.
Okay. All right. So, folks, I'm taking something from this. Equally. You're right. It does come out of my mouth like that, but it should be equally.
Yes.
You want to hear the qua.
Yes.
Does it do things to you when I do this, Nicholas? Qua.
Ah, things
Qua.
it does to me. I mean,
Qua. Okay. All right. And what else enrages you? I've heard that there's a range. There's basically a shopping list. Keep going. I've corrected that for you. Easy.
okay, a shopping list. Um, I mean, I think it ranges from a lot of things. I love that this is the first subject that you want to tackle.
Oh well, mate.
Um,
No, you take me where you want to go. It's your podcast. I just genuinely, as I got into the studio, thought I scrolled back because I must admit, I talked to a lot of people, so I need to refresh quickly what
mm,
people were going to come on the show about. And when I scrolled
mhm.
back in your chat, I fully put my hand up if I invited you on or someone invited you on. That's fine, but I couldn't see. There was nothing about Kylie. There was nothing about Madonna. I just saw a comment about that you have a range of interests. So I'm sitting in here open minded. So you take this where you want to go.
Okay, because
But don't avoid the things that enrage you, because I want to try and modify my behavior so that a listener like you can enjoy the show even better than you already enjoy it.
the thing is, the word enrage is very strong. I mean, enrage means that I'm literally trying, like, I want to throw my phone to the ground when I'm listening, which is not the case. It just
But you're a
my
teacher, right? So you'd probably understand that there's inference and implication, right? So the producer who read your comments has told me that they believe you to be enraged. So you must accept that, Nicholas. You have to stand by the fact that you've made comments that have been perceived by someone as you being enraged, even if you
I
weren't.
just no. I okay. It all stemmed from because I don't know who got in touch with me first, but it all stemmed from a post that someone put on the message board. no, for the Facebook page
Okay.
of Say Hey on Facebook.
Oh God! Oh God! Sorry,
Yeah.
Nicholas. So much of this is making sense to me now. Just for the record, I haven't been on Say Hey in more than probably 15 years. Yet I hear that there is a crusade against this show. I've been
Has
reliably
there?
informed. I've been reliably informed by somebody in the past 4 weeks that they were kicked out of Say Hey because they posted one of the shows, which I did not ask them to, of course, because Say Hey, honestly, I wouldn't even know where to find it anymore. So anyway, this is all making sense now. So Nicholas, you saw something on Say Hey, and this has led to you making statements. Keep going.
So someone posted that was on Facebook, not on the message board. And someone posted maybe it was a link to your show or something about the show.
Okay.
And I did provide the context that I would take what you say with a pinch of salt, because in the past you've made quite strong claims or supported some very strong theories
Mm.
um, that I know were not grounded in facts, and also I'm just surprised you haven't got sued over some stuff that you've said. And one of the things I mentioned was I remember it was was it 2 years ago when
Oh
Madonna
God.
had a bacterial infection,
Right.
and I remember you posted an entire episode where you basically said that Madonna was committing insurance fraud by not being pretending to be ill in order to boost her ticket sales for her concert. And I thought that was so egregious and just and you sort of backpedal. Well, you didn't backpedal because you sort of left it behind, didn't acknowledge it, and then you had a full coverage of the celebration tour and never made any statement clearing what you had said or trying to go back on that. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was quite shitty, to be honest.
The episode about Madonna being ill, this is before the celebration tour started.
Mm,
Obviously, she had to delay the start of it. And we did have an episode where it was claimed that this could be a conspiracy, that she was worried about ticket sales, that she wanted to close off some of the shows that weren't selling well, and this was a good way of doing it, right? That was essentially the crux of the episode.
mm.
Yeah. You found it egregious.
Yeah, it's quite a strong claim to make, especially. I
Did you
mean,
listen
it's
to the episode, Nicholas? Or did you just see the thumbnail?
no, I did listen to the entire episode.
Well, I'm just curious if you listened to the entire episode, and I know it was a long time ago now, but you'd be aware that I didn't make that statement.
See, but this is going to lead me to my overall point. That's not just about particular.
Well,
Is
no, no, no.
that
But let's make sure that we clear this up. If you listen to the entire episode,
I mean, it's 2 years ago. Like,
yes,
how am I going to remember down to granular level everything
I'm
you
not
said?
not asking for the granular. I can't remember the granular either. But you'd be aware that I didn't make that comment.
The the difference is that you did not put any caveat, and when it was clear that that comment was just a stupid conspiracy theory and quite an insulting one, to be honest, because if you put yourself in Madonna's shoes for 2 seconds and you have people claiming that she pretended to have a serious bacterial infection to bump up the sales of her tickets, you never came back and made a statement about what was said, nor invited the person back. And this goes to the main
Well,
overarching
hold on.
point
You're
that I'm
saying
trying
a
to
lot
make.
of
No, no,
things.
no, no. You hold on,
No,
because
no.
the thing. No,
I'm
no,
gonna.
no, no.
You've
Because
you've
hold on.
made statements that are incorrect. Let me just clarify two things, and I
Really?
promise you're
Have I
gonna. Yeah.
not? Did
Yes.
you did you go back and say that Madonna
You've made
was actually ill, and that what was said in that podcast
Nicholas.
was something that
Nicholas.
you completely detached yourself from?
Nicholas, you're
Did you
going to
say
get a
that?
fair go. You're going to get a fair go, I promise. But it's got to be a conversation, all right?
Hmm?
I've people listening will hopefully be hearing that you've had a fair run, but I'm not going to let you just fruit and run. Okay, there's two things you said there.
I
First of
can't
all,
finish points. You're the one interrupted me. Okay.
well, I'm going to interrupt you when you say wrong things. I did invite
Uh-huh.
the guest back, and 2 times now you still haven't acknowledged I did not make that claim. Would you at least acknowledge that?
I would have to go back and listen to the episode.
Well, it's a shame, mate. If you're listening to the show, there was a person who came on and he made that claim. Yeah, it was a wild conspiracy theory. I'd agree with you. But I didn't make that claim. This show is basically an open forum. And like you're here,
Okay. And that
and
leads me to the point that I'm trying to make, which you're not allowing me to make,
go
which
ahead, go
is
ahead.
okay. The real main issue I have with you and your show is that you invite people on it. You let them speak, which is absolutely lovely. So you provide a platform for a lot of discourse without really fact checking anything. And in that sense, as a host of a show that is trying to open conversations, I do believe ethically it is your job to always counteract certain claims that are made. That's basically a sort of journalistic integrity. You can't just put people on a platform and say, well, I didn't say that. No, but you give them a platform. It is your responsibility to make sure that if incorrect claims, which also, by the way, I think in that case and many other cases, could be ground for, suing people because that's defamatory. It is your responsibility, in my opinion, to come back with a statement. And this is basically what happens on absolutely every show that you might watch. When if someone comes and has an entire hour to themselves where they can say Madonna is faking her illness to bump up her sales, or something like not so recently, but like, oh, US immigrants who come to the US smuggle drugs in the territory, when you were invited a Trump supporter and voter, in my opinion, it is your responsibility as a host to check those claims, make sure that you deliver factual information. The entire of the idea that you let people speak and then you just say, well, I didn't say those things, you still hold a certain responsibility towards your audience
Okay,
to
Nicholas,
to
Nicholas,
check those
I hope you
claims
feel like you've got a fair go.
and
Am
then
I allowed
correct
to talk
them.
yet? Or I'm a bit paranoid now because you've got very strict and harsh, frankly, criteria about how a conversation can go. I'm suspecting that you are absolutely part of the cancel culture movement. Absolutely.
Okay, good.
So, am I going to get a chance to speak? Am I allowed under your criteria to talk now, or
Yeah, go ahead.
are you sure? Have you got your egg timer ready to go? No
I'm
response,
listening.
Nicholas, at all. No response. Sounds about right. Okay, so I think you make a valid point. It's when somebody comes on the show and makes outrageous claims. Well, the mechanism on this particular show to remedy those is other people are allowed to come on, like yourself, Nicholas, to put the counter argument forward. That is absolutely not my job because I believe very much in freedom of speech and agreed there is a limit to freedom of speech. If it crosses a line into the world of criminal or defamatory, no good. Totally agree with you on that. Okay. But when that guy came on and he wanted to express his disappointment, it was a general conversation about his disappointment in Madonna at that point in time. He was invited back on the show, despite your, by the way, not fact checked claim that I didn't invite him back on the show. And yeah, you did say that, Nicholas, so don't deny it.
Mhm.
I did invite him back on the show. He declined to come back on the show. He
Okay.
told me, by the way, in text that he was enjoying the celebration tour, despite his earlier concerns. So that's the mechanism that people can come on and present the counter argument. Nicholas, just to make it abundantly clear, are you telling me that there are some guests who I shouldn't allow on the show?
No, I'm not saying that. I do believe also in freedom of expression, but also at some point, some things that I said, which are factually incorrect, should be fact checked by you if the person does not wish to come back on the show. Um, for me, it's an ethical responsibility that you have.
But how would the devil, like, be real with me, Nicholas, because it's easy for you to throw the big bomb over to me and say, you should have fact checked. How would
Mhm.
one fact check what was going on in the mechanics of Madonna's mind when she was delaying the start of her tour? How the devil would you expect me to do it? Tell me.
Well, after the fact, after it was confirmed that,
It
she
was never
had been
confirmed.
ill.
It was never confirmed that she delayed the start of a tour, not not to claim insurance. And maybe she did claim insurance. How do you know she didn't? I'm sure she did, in fact.
Okay, so do you have evidence for that?
Do you have evidence that she didn't? That's my point. Like,
Well,
if I
I'm not that invested in that tour that I would check that information or have it at the, tip of my
but
fingers.
the irony here, Nicholas, is that you've come on and said, "Oh my God, someone said something totally incorrect on your show about
Mm.
Madonna claiming insurance for cancelled shows." You don't know if she didn't. The likelihood is she did. So he probably came on the show and made a factually correct remark that has enraged you, by the way. You might not feel enraged, but you're sounding very enraged.
How do you know I'm enraged?
There's a bit of a veneer of laughter there, but you're sounding rather enraged. Okay, but look, I
Oh,
take your
okay,
point.
so it's we going on a process of intention, and basically, like, the
Well, no,
way
I
you
love this.
feel about me is what I am. Okay, cool.
Well, that's the way I'm perceiving it. Yeah. So look, I've got equal,
Hmm.
there's one for you. And I do, there's nothing we disagree on really. If somebody comes on and makes a claim that veers into the criminal or the libel, I agree that that should be either corrected or actually just cancelled out. Agreed.
So for instance, when you had the Trump supporter,
A Trump voter. Okay. Yeah.
um, and that person, I remember listening to that episode a couple of months ago. Um, and that person, I think it was kind of like an exchange between him and someone who was against Trump.
Yeah. I think you're
And
talking about Madam Roastbeef and Sean, potentially, maybe.
maybe, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So what the Trump supporter um, claimed, and what backed up his vote was that, so he made the claim that migrants from South America were responsible for smuggling drugs in the US, and that's why he voted for Trump, because the whole campaign that he led was based on cracking down on immigration, which we are seeing unfolding now. Again, when you talk about Madonna and canceling tours, like, it's fine. Like, it's not, in the
Well, it's
grand
not
scheme of
fine.
things, it's
You
not
just
really
spent
that
you've
important.
just you've just spent 10 minutes telling me why it's not fine. So don't start
No, I said
turning
it was
things around.
insulting, um, to make that claim, about, and that was just an example of the general point that I'm really trying to make a point.
Well, God, I hope you
Um,
get there, Nicholas, because you're taking the
yeah,
long
yeah,
route.
I'm trying to get there, but if you keep talking, it's not going to happen.
Well, mate,
Um,
you're on a podcast and you're with a host, and it's a conversation. And if somebody is taking the long route, it is my job to get them back on track. So get back on
okay.
track. You're upset about the Trump.
I'm trying to get on track, but you keep interrupting, so that's why it's impossible.
Well,
So,
please get back on track. I'm trying to follow.
okay, so in the grand scheme of things, when you talk about, trivial pop, um, things like tours and music, whatever, it's not, it doesn't have extreme ramifications on people's lives. I think the problem is you seem to be very quickly out of your depth on a lot of subjects, or if you aren't, then you consciously make the decision to not correct certain things that I think are ethically and morally important for me to correct. I So when that claim was made, it has been supported many times by police figures. And the American police are not the wokest, progressive, social justice warriors that you can come across. It has been proven many times that the ones who are bringing drugs in the US are not immigrants who are, for most cases, fleeing very unstable political situations or
Come on,
just
mate.
extreme
Let's get
poverty.
to the point here because
So
it's not
the
about. I
thing
don't want to
is,
talk about Trump.
when that claim is made, there are implications which, for instance, that person voted for Trump. That was a reason why many people voted for him based on anti-immigration laws, and now we're seeing the effects on a lot of people's lives. What's happening in America right now? There are riots
Nicholas,
against ICE members or ICE agents. So
Nicholas,
when you have
Nicholas,
people who come on the show and you don't
are you
question
going to let me
those
talk now?
things, no, I'm good. Are you going to let me finish? When you have those people on the show and you invite them, provide them a platform, and then you don't ask them, okay, where do you have those figures? Where did you have that information? Is that really something that you based your vote on? I think as a host, that's your moral duty, in my opinion.
Interestingly, that was a debate between two people. So
Hmm.
your claim that I have a role to play there in fact checking along the way, that's a bit dubious because there's two
No,
people
no,
having
it's
a
in
conversation.
my opinion, that's very
I
important.
would like to offer you the opportunity to talk to that guy who I believe to be Sean. Would you like to talk to Sean directly on this show about his
Uh,
claims about Trump?
how we're going to organize that anyway? Like one person in the US, one person in London, and one person in Australia.
I'm a very clever man. I can make it happen. Are you up for it, Nicholas? Would you talk to him directly if you're so enraged by his claims that I didn't
But
correct?
why do you keep using the word enraged? I don't
Nicholas, I
understand.
don't think you understand how you're perceived by people. You're sounding extremely enraged. You won't
By
let me
people, by
talk.
you.
Oh, so you are enraged. So I was correct. Where's my role in it? You said I'm increasingly out of depth with topics.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, when you're part of the people who use the word woke, and I don't think you really understand the meaning of that word,
How would you
or
define it?
you, so technically woke means someone who is aware of systemic issues related to discrimination about race or gender or sexual orientation, gender identity,
Someone who's enlightened, right?
and acknowledges those factor in society and tries to improve and make society more equal for everyone.
So, Nicholas, that's fine if your interpretation of the word woke is that. But like many words in the English language, the definition of woke has evolved for many of us
Hmm.
into something
To
that
what?
is symbolic of people who have simplistic ideas of the wonderful world that we should live in at the expense of others. So people who want to cancel people's voices, for example, they would be woke.
Um,
So, can I give you a preliminary verdict, Nicholas?
mm,
It sounds to me like you
that
enjoy
it.
the conversations on the show where you agree, but conversations where you don't agree bother you, and that's really
No,
interesting to me because do you not have a curious enough mind to hear different perspectives? Do you not have a curious enough mind to at least hear the views of people that don't necessarily hold your worldview? Because so far you're coming across as somebody who just thinks every guest I've ever had that has a statement or a position that differs from yours, you think that I should have intervened and slapped them down like a bitch.
slap them down like a bitch. You use such strong language for everything. Enraged, slap them down like a bitch. That's. I
Again,
think that's
Nicholas,
the that's.
your lack of personal insight is astounding because the
What?
listeners can make up their own mind. You come
Okay,
across as extremely enraged. But
I come
let's go back
across as
to,
extremely
don't avoid the
enraged.
question though. The question was, do you
Mm-hmm.
have a curious enough mind to sit and listen to the views of those that differ from yours?
100%. The problem is if the views, quote unquote views that are presented are not grounded in any reality, then we can't really have a conversation.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. joined him and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
Why do you listen to the show?
Well, I haven't listened to. I've gone through phases.
Okay.
So if you want to have my listening pattern, I think everything that's like pop related, fine, I can listen to it. I haven't listened to the show in a long time because I was on a media blackout regarding Kylie's Tension tour. So I didn't want to, because I went this week and I didn't want to have any influence whatsoever. And a lot of the episodes that were there, which by the way, this is how, like, what I was supposed to talk about today, but okay, fine. So I didn't want to have any influence before going to the performance in London on Monday.
I'm just
So I haven't
curious though.
listened to it.
You come across the show, and clearly you've been enraged a number of times listening to it.
Enraged.
And would you say,
Enraged.
are you generally always, when you listen to it, is there anything good about the show?
I think when you talk about like light-hearted pop culture, I'm completely fine with it.
Right. So when you agree with it.
No, sometimes I don't agree with it. I don't agree with your takes on a lot of music that you listen to, but I still enjoy listening to it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you listen, Nicholas. I mean, I love having people on, and I'm taking things from this. You might think I haven't taken anything on board. I have. Fair enough. There's somebody out there listening to the show who thinks that when a guest comes on and makes statements that they believe to be defamatory, by the way, I would always do that. But in the case that you're referencing, which is the Madonna cancellation of the tour, or the delay to the start of Celebration, I don't think he strayed into defamatory or libelous territory at all, which is why
Again, I would have to listen to the episode back because it was published 2 years ago, and we can go into the details again.
Isn't it a fantastic thing that Nicholas can be sitting there enraged, listening to it for however many episodes, and then be able to come on the show and tell me about it? Isn't that a good thing? That you've had your opportunity to have your say? I think that's great.
I'm not enraged though. I don't know where you get that info from.
All right. Take out the word enraged. Is it a great thing that you've been able to come on and get this off your chest?
Sort of, yeah, because I think you are not addressing my main point. You're trying to sort of deflect a little bit. But that's fine.
Maybe I just need some time to absorb it, Maybe I've been hit over the back of the head with a frying pan, Nicholas, and I need to some time to digest what you've said.
You have such a violent vision of me. It's incredible.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to meet you in a dark back alley.
Okay.
Because I think you're the type who'd be smiling, but that'd be part of the trap.
That again, it's
what are you doing like?
Where do you get that from? Like, is that how you like interact with people? You like have a preconceived notion of them, and then you go like on wild claims about them. That's just wild.
Again, Nicholas, not preconceived. I've had a conversation with you, so that's a very woke thing for you to say.
Like, how long have we talked? Like,
you don't think so? Again, this is very symptomatic of what I think you are, actually, Nicholas. You think that because we've only spoken for 30 minutes at this stage,
what do you think I am?
I have no right to have formed any opinion about you. Which, by the way, is part of the human species. It's how we survive. We all make judgments. Judgment is not a bad thing. You have opinions about me, Nicholas. That's your right to have them. I haven't said you shouldn't have an opinion about me. You've only spoken to me directly for 30 minutes yourself. You've got very strong opinions about me.
No, let me. I wouldn't. First of all, I listen to a lot of you because there's like hours and hours and hours of you talking.
Nicholas, there's a comment that I'm just looking at here. You've described me as emotionally immature.
Like, how long ago was that?
I have no idea, mate. Am I emotionally immature?
You know what that is? I am, again, another thing that I'm not enraged by, but very perplexed, is your absolute hatred for Meghan Markle's.
I don't hate Meghan Markle.
You don't? You talk about her all the time.
Yeah, we talk about her a lot, but hate's a strong word. Absolutely not.
So what do you feel toward Meghan Markle?
I think Meghan Markle is somebody who's more obsessed about how she's perceived than actually just being the person that she truly is. I think that I would quite like her because she's a very harsh lady. I think she's a very judgmental lady. And if she could just be herself, I'd like her all the better. But the fact that she tries to wrap it with a veneer of, I'm very sweet, I'm very kooky, I'm very funny, I'm very helpful, I have a lot of friends, but I don't really care about power or fame or celebrity. That's how I feel about Meghan. But hatred, no. No.
I'd,
Let's go back to this
that's fair.
emotionally immature question, a statement that you've made. Tell me about that.
I mean, again, when was that statement and what was it about?
Okay. Well, I can't give you the context, Nicholas. You've made the statement. You can't stand
Okay.
by it. What do you do in life, Nicholas?
I'm a fitness instructor and content creator.
A content creator, really? What do you make content about?
I'm an adult content creator.
Really? Are you on OnlyFans?
Yes, among other platforms.
Okay. Do you make a good living out of that?
It's a nice extra.
Okay, so it's not enough to live on. I've always wanted to ask that. Some OnlyFans that get in the news, they go, "I'm making $100,000 a month" and all that sort of stuff. That's not your
No,
experience.
that's a very small minority of content creators. It's just like regular content. You have people who make millions and others who, just get a little extra money from it.
So, how often do you post to those platforms?
Once a week on
Okay,
OnlyFans, and I'm on Just for Fans, which is another one, which allows more kinky content.
right.
And that one I post twice a week.
And how full on is your content?
Um, Depends on what you think is full on. I would say for most people, it is quite full on.
Okay. Well, tell us. This is uncensored show. What do you do on your platforms? People might want to come and watch you, Nicholas.
Okay. Well, OnlyFans is sorry. It's been a long day, so my voice is a bit not there. On OnlyFans, I do explicit content, a bit of solo, but that's not really. I feel a bit awkward by myself in front of the camera, so I invite other gentlemen to partake in activities with me.
Oh, come on. Don't be coy. You're on OnlyFans. What do you do with other gentlemen? Full on sex?
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. And uncensored, unfiltered, which I'm imagining. I actually haven't been on OnlyFans before.
I mean, it's behind a paywall, so you have to prove that you're 18 to watch the content.
Okay. Okay. And I'm curious, like when you say it's basically pocket money is sort of what you're describing it. I mean, how much would you make in a month from OnlyFans or from all the platforms combined?
Do you work for HMRC?
Ah,
um,
well, so that's your equivalent of a tax office, I'm assuming. But surely you can't avoid tax because that's all
yeah.
there's a paper
No,
trail.
you have to declare it.
Yeah. So how much in a typical month?
It can vary. I, I don't like discussing money issues really.
Okay, but it's not enough for you not to work
I
as well.
could live off of it, but when you live in London, you need to get all the money you can because
Mm.
everything is expensive. So I would have to be very careful with my spending. I could live off of my content.
So you said you're a fitness trainer and you
hmm
make adult content,
hmm
but you also said you're an ESL teacher. Is that still happening or is that in the past?
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say you're an ESL teacher?
I am ESL, so
Oh,
English as
yourself.
second language. Yeah,
Right. Okay. And you know multiple languages.
correct.
Well, it sounds like you're living your best life.
A busy life for sure.
How long have you been doing the adult stuff for?
Going on 2.5 years.
Okay. And is it one of those things that you sometimes think to yourself, if I could dedicate more time to this, it would be more successful? Or is it about as successful as it's going to get for you?
I think it could. go bigger, um, the whole thing is I don't want to make that my only form of income anyway, or I don't want that to be my life. Because that's something that you sort of age out of at some point. And also it's quite a lonely life, when you meet a lot of people that you shoot with, but it's still, a lot of time spent in front of a computer editing. For me, it's too lonely. I like my fitness thing because it allows me to meet all sorts of people from all walks of lives, and yeah, just like
So you're,
the variety of people that meet throughout the day is just it's quite astounding.
you're
I
not
like
in a
that.
relationship then at the moment.
No.
If you were in a relationship, is this something you could do you think?
Yes, because I would like to be with someone who would accept that. I wouldn't ask anyone else to change a job or to move to a different place just for me. That's something that is rewarding emotionally and financially for me. So that's not something I want to uh, give up on for someone else.
Is it an odd experience to have yourself in pornographic situations on a computer screen and you're editing? Like, how do you make those choices about where to edit, where to slice, where to zoom, where to delete?
Everyone's got a different relationship with it. Since I come from the fitness industry, I kind of have to embrace the fact that I'm not going to be happy with the way I look like 360, because that's when you see all angles of you. Um, but everyone's got their own style of editing. Everyone's got their own style of filming. Um, so I kind of have my formula that works for me.
It'd be easy to assume that you aren't a self-conscious person, but most people do have something they're self-conscious about. Is there anything about yourself that you are self-conscious about?
Of so many, but it's again, my work on myself is to push that aside and again think, I'm grateful that I'm able to do what I do, that my body works.
What are you self-conscious about though?
What do you want to know? Are you my psychiatrist now?
You don't want to share that? All right. Well, let's flip it around. What's the part of your body that you are most proud of, or what part of your performance in these videos are you most proud of?
um Part of perform I'm very pleased with my understanding of angles and light.
Hmm.
My editing skills, I think, are great. I sort of, because most of us, we don't have the leverage to have a camera operator and a lights department. It's everything is homemade. So there are some videos that I managed to shoot in 45 minutes, edited down to 25, and I think this angle, this light makes everyone look great. You see what you need to see. The editing is very on point, everything is snappy, it's not boring, it's dynamic. That's what I like about my
Okay.
videos.
So a lot of thoughtfulness. And how many followers do you have collectively?
um on my content platforms or on my Twitter.
Collectively.
About 100,000.
Wow. You're doing a good job there. Doing a good job. That's big for 2.5 years only. It's sort of early days.
And we try.
Amazing, Nicholas. Well, look, thank you for letting me get to know you a little bit. It's always good to know the background and the context of somebody who's so enraged by the content that you produce. It's
Enraged.
a wonderful thing. And funnily enough, Nicholas, I think I'm starting to enjoy you a little bit more now.
Oh,
Yeah.
when I'm not enraged.
No, I find that there was a generosity of spirit with you sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do. I think that was very generous of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Which,
So
which, by the way, one of the reasons why I came today was to talk about the Tension Tour, but we didn't mention that at all.
what did you think of Attention Tour?
I think it was brilliant. I think it was the best.
Well, that's a good summary. Nicholas, I've enjoyed talking to you. Do you feel like you got a fair shot?
Not really, but I think I got the best shot that I could get with you.
Yeah. Well, I definitely tried my best. Are you going to keep listening, or is that it now? Unsubscribing?
I might listen back because again, I was on a media blackout to not have anything Kylie sort of cloud my personal opinion of the tour. I would say depends on the episodes. I know that all the political stuff I'm probably gonna steer clear from because it's probably going to be amateur hour, which you sort of I know that's your brand. I think politics should not be amateur hour. I think it should be backed up with more rigorous attitudes and claims. But I guess that's just me. Anything
Bit
pop
elitist, Nicholas,
culture,
of you.
like I don't mind.
I said it's a bit elitist of you, really, because nearly everyone who votes doesn't have a deep understanding of politics, yet they're the most important person in an election or in democracy, the voter. So the fact that you're suggesting that people shouldn't come on unless they're informed, well, you're really
Yeah.
missing the pulse of a community that way, aren't you?
And I think when you're platforming people, you have to make sure that you get people who come from a place of really understanding what they're talking about.
How can people find you if they want to look you up? Because there's probably plenty of people who listen and are curious now.
So my stage name, if that's what you're referring to,
Sure.
is Angel, like an angel, and Diaz, like Cameron Diaz.
Angel
Um,
Diaz.
yes, so I'm at Angel Diaz XXL. I'll let you imagine what it's about. On Twitter, just for fans, only fans. And I have my personal Instagram. I don't really want people to find me there.
That's all right.
So yeah.
No, if people want to look you up, they can, and I'm sure many, many people will, because many people, as I say in one of the promos for this show, a lot of people listen to this show simply to be enraged. So there's lots of people in the Nicholas camp I know are listening and going, good, give it to him, Nicholas, give it to him hard. And you have.
Enraged. You have such an interesting relationship with that word.
Well, listen back. I'm curious for you to listen back and you can decide how you come across, because you come across as quite rabid about a number of issues.
Rabid.
Yeah, rabid,
Wow. The semantic
enraged.
field. Yeah, I would probably use the word passionate or um, strongly convinced about the point that I make.
Yeah.
But enraged, I'm gonna go to sleep in 30 minutes, and I'm sure that's not gonna be a problem.
Well, even angry people sleep, Nicholas.
But do enraged people sleep? That's the question.
Nicholas, you've had your say and you've said it well, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.